Hi everyone. Today I want to talk about character analysis in Pride and Prejudice. It is my favorite book of all time, and I just want to put in my 2 cents on a literary piece that pretty much catapulted me into enjoying classics in literary discussion. Pride and Prejudice is one of the most popular and well-known classics. There's movie adaptations, shows. You have parody books too, like Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, which I have read, and it is a phenomenal book. So if you want to check it out, please do. It's essentially Pride and Prejudice, but just add zombies in there, and then both Darcy and Elizabeth kick ass, and Jane too. Within Pride and Prejudice, the story as a whole is about Regency era marriage and society, but summarizing it as that really doesn't do the book enough justice on how nuanced it is, because it honestly is a sort of case study in the self and in of others. Jane Austen is very good when it comes to writing character. The whole book is about people. I see a lot of character foils. There's a lot of comparisons, and not just on the main characters themselves, but also in the supporting cast, and you can mix and match them and get a whole ton to work with. Before we dive into the nitty-gritty and the meat of the video, the main focus, the main idea of this video is going to be Jane and Elizabeth, character foils and comparisons. So without further ado, let's continue. Within the first couple of chapters in the book, right after the assembly, we see how different the two sisters are in their personality and in their views of others. You have Jane, who is quiet and sweet and very forgiving person, whereas Elizabeth is very sharp, very quick-witted, and she is also very quick to judge. Both of these characters play off of each other. So you have Jane that highlights Elizabeth's, quick-wittedness. She's really good when it comes to determining just what kind of person they are and whether or not these people are someone that she wants to get to know or not. You see that she is very accurate when it comes to discerning Mrs. Hurst and Miss Bingley's personalities. She saw very clearly that, they think they're superior to others and think that, they're gracing their presence to you. And this is noted in the book. We see here in this quote, Elizabeth listened in silence, but was not convinced. Their behavior at the assembly had not been calculated to please in general, and with more quickness of observation and less pliancy of temper than her sister, and with a judgment too unassailed by any attention to herself, she was very little disposed to approve of them. She's also rather sharp and very keen on what others say and discern, pretty well what type of person they are, just based on how they write, what they say, even before meeting them. The only people that she is not really good at discerning are Mr. Darcy and Mr. Wickham. She was able to accurately deduce, what type of person Mr. Collins was, and pretty much guessed that he may not be as sensible as he says he is. And here's another quote. Elizabeth was chiefly struck with his extraordinary deference for Lady Catherine, and his kind intention of christening, marrying, and burying his parishioners, whenever it were required. He must be an oddity, I think, said she. I cannot make him out. There is something very pompous in his style, and what can he mean by apologizing for being next in the entail? We cannot suppose he would help it, if he could. Can he be a sensible man, sir? And so, from this, we have the opposite, where Jane is very forgiving. And, she doesn't want to, 1, judge people too quickly. 2, she's just kind. She was the first person not to judge Mr. Darcy so harshly. She didn't have a lot of information about both, and she didn't want to just determine who Mr. Darcy is, just based on Wickham's story alone. Here's a quote. They have both, said she, been deceived. I dare say in some way or other, of which we can form no idea, interested persons have perhaps misrepresented each to the other. It is in short impossible for us to conjecture the causes or circumstances which may have alienated them without actual blame on either side. She is also really understanding of people and puts herself in the shoes of others and why they would do something. She doesn't agree, but doesn't shame them either, because everybody is different. And you can really see that when she is having a conversation with Lizzie, when Lizzie herself was upset and really displeased when Charlotte decided to marry Mr. Collins. And here's a quote. "My dear Lizzie, do not give way to such feelings as these. They will ruin your happiness. You do not make allowance enough for differences of situation and temper. Consider Mr. Collins's respectability and Charlotte's prudent, steady character. Remember that she is one of a large family, that as to fortune it is most eligible match. And be ready to believe, for everybody's sake, that she may feel something like regard and esteem for our cousin." They're in such two extremes of each other that they sort of balance each other out. Sometimes we really like Elizabeth's judgy, quick, assessment of other people. We like it because Jane is too sweet, and she's more susceptible to manipulation and deception, which we see that she did go through. Like when she was completely mistaken by Miss Bingley's, regard for her. She thought, Miss Bingley likes her and sees her as a friend, when in reality she doesn't. And Miss Bingley actively separates, Jane and Mr. Bingley, because I'm pretty sure Miss Bingley couldn't care less about Jane because of her connections, and she wants her brother to marry Miss Darcy. "My dearest Lizzie will, I am sure, be incapable in her better judgment at my expense when I confess myself to have been utterly deceived in Miss Bingley's regard for me. But my dear sister, though the event has proved you right, do not think me obstinate if I still assert that, considering what her behavior was, my confidence was as natural as your suspicion." Because Jane is so patient and prefers to think the better of other people, she isn't so quick to judge a person as Elizabeth does. And this really highlights Elizabeth's deficit and detriment, because she judged too quickly and made a quick conclusion about someone without knowing the entire whole. When Austen wrote this, it is to show that their personalities can be both good and both bad. And I think balance is something that is very applicable in a real life situation. You should be kind like Jane. But you should also have the judginess of Elizabeth. This will help so much in life because people are very confusing when you can't read into the other person's mind. And you have to discern and judge yourself in social situations how you should act, what the other person is like, and determine if what they say or do are consistent. I think that is fascinating. There are whole YouTube channels specifically dedicated to reading other people, but you also cannot be too judgmental and unfairly come to a conclusion about someone's personality or unfairly determine what the other person is like. And that is something that I find really awesome in how Austen writes her characters. And you could see the themes that she represents just based off of these two sisters. This is one of the reasons why I love Jane Austen. So here we come to an end of the video. I could rant on and on about Austen. Every single year I read this, I always see something new. I always find something new to love about this book. Please feel free to comment, discuss, talk about, anything that you think about or what you like about or dislike about this video, since it is my first video and I love to hear more. I know that there are a lot of YouTubers and creators and channels out there that do content on Pride and Prejudice, but I want a medium for me to talk about something that I love. I really want to put in my 2 cents about something that I absolutely enjoy reading, and I want to do it here. And so if you like my commentary, please hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next one.